Hello and welcome everyone. Today's video features a full review guide of the Japanese heavy cruiser Maya. Maya was one of 4 Takao-class heavy cruisers active in World War II with the Imperial Japanese Navy. At the time, they were the largest and most modern cruisers in the Japanese fleet and were intended to form the backbone of a multi-purpose long-range strike force. These Takao-class heavy cruisers were fast, powerful and heavily armed, with enough firepower to hold their own against any cruiser from any other navy in the world. At the start of 1944, Maya underwent a major refit where the third turret at the front was removed and replaced with additional anti-aircraft guns in response to the ever-increasing Allied air threat. Now this is the version we see in game, differing from the Myoko and her sister ships Atago and Takao. Maya brings with her an impressive array of consumables, including a choice of hydro and defensive fire, along with a repair party, a main battery reload booster, which are both very strong consumables to have at one's disposal at Tier VII. Combine all of this with accurate, hard-hitting Japanese 203mm guns and very fast, hard-hitting torpedoes, giving Maya a lot of options, allowing her to play a number of roles depending on your playstyle. Now, in my opinion, Maya, when top tier, feels very strong indeed, but not unlike every other non-smoke Tier 7 cruiser. It still requires very careful positioning and good map awareness when fighting higher tier opponents. Maya will be available from Friday, April the 29th for 8,800 doubloons in the Armory and for various bundles in the premium store. So before getting into the full review of the Maya, let me show you the build I'm using in this gameplay and what fits in pretty well to the playstyle for the Maya. As you can see here from the build, I am using the Hydro Acoustic Search mod in slot 2, which increases the hydro to well above 2 minutes in duration. Now when it comes to the captain skills, I am using both top grade gunner and outnumbered at the moment, but you could quite easily swap one of these out for radiolocation or something like survivability expert and gun feeder, for example, to make up those 4 points. It depends, it's all about your personal choice. So let's start with the armor layout. Now we can see here from a simple port screenshot that the Maya gets 16mm of fore end plating and aft end plating. The superstructure is 13mm, while the main deck armor is 29. The upper casemate armor is 25. The main belt armor is 102mm, with additional strips on either side of 127mm. Now this is essentially covered by a side plating or torpedo protection belt, also of 25mm. The turrets themselves get an all-round protection of 25mm. So these turrets do tend to feel a little bit vulnerable, having only 25mm of plating, even the frontal plating. And here is a quick screenshot of the Maya Citadel. You can see the submerged section runs from the aft turret to the front turret, and there is a section that is above the waterline, extending from turret 3 to the start of the superstructure. So this ties in directly to the ship's hit points, 39,200 hit points, with a torpedo protection damage reduction of 19%. Now this is further reinforced by having 3 repair parties when having Superintendent trained, and 3 repair parties at Tier 7 feels very useful indeed. So moving to the main battery, as stated earlier, this is the 1944 refitted version of the Maya. So the Maya gets 4 twin-mounted 203mm guns, 2 fore and 2 aft. These 203mm barrels have a reload time of 16.5 seconds they can rotate 180 degrees in 26.1 seconds. They have a max firing range of 15.3 kilometers and a max dispersion of 121 meters. In addition, these 203mm guns have a gun sigma of 2.0. So these guns fire both high explosive and armor-piercing rounds. The high explosive damage is 3000, which is a little bit notable as it is less than the Myoko and Atago, despite using the identical same gun caliber. As for the rest, it's quite similar. Fully boosted with signal flags, the Maya has a 19% chance of setting the target on fire. These high explosive shells can penetrate 34mm of armor and have a shell speed of 840 meters per second. The armor piercing has the exact same shell speed of 840 meters per second and can inflict a max damage of 4700. The Maya gets additional secondary armament in the form of 6 twin-mounted 127mm guns. Now these have a 4.5 second reload, firing high explosive shells. They have a max firing range of 5.9 kilometers. They can inflict a max damage of 2100, a 9% fire chance. They can pen 21mm of armor and have a shell speed of 725 meters per second. So that is the main battery and secondary armament. Now, in addition, Maya gets quite an impressive torpedo setup. 4 X4 launchers with quite flexible firing angles. One to the fore and one to the rear on both sides. Now these torpedoes, they have a reload time of 120 seconds. They have a max firing range of 8 kilometers, a very nice max damage of just under 21,000, 20,967, and a very fast torpedo speed of 76 knots. Now these torpedoes do have a high detectability range. They can be detected at 2.5 kilometers. But for the rest, very high damage and very high speed, and are very useful in late game brawling situations, having so much torpedo firepower on both sides. 16 torpedoes in total, and with a max damage of just under 21,000, well, you can work it out. Each spread of torpedoes has a potential damage of well over 80,000. Maya also comes armed with anti-submarine warfare in the form of ship-based depth charges. She has 2 charges with 9 bombs per charge with a max damage of 4,600, so quite high damage and a large number of charges. She's capable of putting 18 depth charges in the water in quick succession. Now these depth charges have a reload time of 40 seconds. So as stated, Maya was refitted in early 1944 with increased AA defenses, and the current AA rating is 56. Maya gets 27 single mounted 25mm, 13 triple mounted 25mm, and the secondary battery 127mm, 12 in total. They also double up as AA mounts. So all combined, they pump out a continuous average damage of 155, the vast majority of which is short-range AA. Maya is capable of firing 3 shell explosions per flak salvo that can inflict a max damage of 1330, and the max firing range is 5.8 kilometers. Now to strengthen this, you also have access to the defensive fire, which can boost the damage by 300% from the shell explosions, boosting the continuous damage by 50%, and Maya also comes armed with the fighter consumable for additional defense. So should you wish to go the anti-aircraft route, you have enough options at your disposal. Personally, myself, I prefer using hydro for the most part, attempting to negate enemy torpedoes. So when it comes to maneuverability, the Maya has a base speed of 35.5 knots, Now this can be boosted with the Sierra Mike signal flag to 37.3 knots, a turning circle radius of 780 meters per second, and a rudder shift time of 8.1 seconds. If we make a quick comparison to something like the Myoko, which has a rudder shift time of 5.7 seconds, it doesn't feel nearly as maneuverable, obviously. So finally, stats-wise, the Maya has a concealment rating of 64, which equates to a surface detection range of 11.2 kilometers. Maya will be detected then by aircraft and by enemy submarines at 6.4 kilometers. So this is the brand new Japanese heavy cruiser at Tier 7, the Maya, which is going to be a premium. It will be available in the armory. The cheapest price will be 8,800 doubloons, and there will be various price bundles also available in the premium store. And these will be available from April the 29th, which is Friday. So, final thoughts on the Maya. Well, it brings an impressive array of consumables and feels very strong when same tier or playing lower tier ships. Now there is a huge caveat. Like virtually every other Tier 7 cruiser, it can be very difficult playing against higher tier opponents, and the Maya is no different. What makes Maya stand out, besides the huge historical significance of yet another real ship being added to the game, which I'm always a fan of, is the combination of repair party and reload booster at Tier 7 is a very interesting combination, and it does give Maya the opportunity to pull off some very nice maneuvers at times. The increased survivability is definitely required. Having light armor, having the repair party is definitely very helpful, considering the meta of constantly facing higher tier ships. It does seem to be the meta at the moment. But personally, I've had a lot of fun playing the Maya. If you'd like to see some live Maya gameplay, feel free to come over and check out my Twitch channel. You can see the link here on screen. I look forward to seeing you all.
Main turret critically damaged. in 5 minutes. Fighter airborne. Torpedoes, direct front. Torpedoes, direct front. Fighter returning to ship. Enemy destroyer sunk. Our team has taken the lead.
I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.